Oh, hi. It's the O Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, CW. And let's talk about the spear, one of the most prolific moves in wrestling. Let's talk about it, and let's talk about who does it the best. The spear, if you don't know, and why wouldn't you know? You're listening to a wrestling podcast, is basically a tackle. You're football tackling somebody to the ground, and it really depends on how you, as the performer of the spear, connect and how your opponent sells it. There have been many wrestlers who do spears, either as a finisher or as a setup move or just as a regular move. But the ones who use them as finishers are usually the ones who do it the best, because they have to. If you want to believe that a tackle is going to take someone out, you have to sell it properly. In recent years, Roman Reigns has been using the spear as well as the Superman punch as his finishers, and to great success. The most well-known, I think, would be Goldberg, who many would argue does it the best. And as he's a former pro NFL player who would tackle gigantic men as a job, like he got paid to do that, you would expect him to be very good at shoulder tackling anyone ever. So I'm not gonna say Goldberg has the best one. That's obvious. That's too obvious. And we're not doing obvious here. We're doing fun. Goldberg, I would say, the same way I can't classify the Undertaker as, having who's the best gimmick in wrestling. I can't say Undertaker because that's a given. He's in a class all his own. So we're not even going to count him. Same for Goldberg and the spear. Now, I'm going to put a caveat on that and say, even though most wrestling fans would consider Goldberg's spear the best, I do not. But because I am acknowledging everyone's opinion on the spear, I am putting him in a class all his own. So he is not in contention for this. Now, given that, the list of names I came up with off the top of my head who have done the spear in recent years is Edge, Bobby Lashley. Big E has a very unique spear that we'll talk about. Rhino. There is Charlotte Flair, I believe, did a version of the spear. Christian has done a version of the spear. I looked up this name, Mil Muertes. I think he was from Lucha Underground, does a version of the spear. And I think that's all I have. Yeah, that's all I have for right now. But those people have been recognized as having a spear. Let's not say a great spear. We're not going to rank these. I'm just going to tell you which one is the best. The best version of the spear is Rhino, the Gore. Hands down, forever. I'm not arguing with anyone. There is no argument to be had. Rhino has the best spear in professional wrestling, in my opinion. Hands down, forever. Close the book. Why? Well, I find that the spear is most effective when it looks devastating, right? When it looks like it can cave someone in half. If Rhino ran at you and did the spear, I feel as though he would murder you. It would be bad. Rhino would periodically gore people through tables. He would set up a table in a corner in ECW. He would go to the other side of the ring and he would get into this literal rhinoceros stance. He would put his head forward. He's this wide, stout man, and he's just like begging the person to get up. And I can only imagine that the person on the other side of the ring is dreading this move that's about to come. They're like, man, I got to get up and take this gore into a table. And they're wobbly, and Rhino's like, he's itching. You see his feet are tapping. He's waiting. The moment the person would stand up and kind of turn around to take the move, he would explode out of the other side of the ring, full speed. And here is the kicker. Here is the piece de resistance. He would take flight off his feet and go completely horizontal and like a missile would fly into the person, shoulder check him, wrap his arms around him, and then they would both careen into the table, decimate everything in its path. He would land, probably give himself a concussion, and then roll the person up for the pin. There is no better spear than Rhino's. Why? Because he literally goes horizontal. There's no bend in his legs. There's no half stepping. There's no hesitation. He would chuck his entire monstrous frame horizontally like a missile into his opponent and completely bend them in half. It was the greatest move. It was the greatest spear ever. Goldberg's is good. It's a legitimate NFL tackle. Okay? That's what Goldberg's spear is. That's why I put him over here by himself. It's a legitimate NFL tackle that he does to the opponent, and it looks great. Yes, I'm not denying that. He would do kind of the same thing. He would kind of, his legs wouldn't bend as much, but you know, at the end of his spear, his legs would kind of be like up in the air somewhere, and they would land together. It was a form tackle. He form tackled the guy. Edge has the worst spear. He's won titles with it. It doesn't work for him. I'm not saying he should stop, but he does it poorly. He lands on his knees. That's not how you do it. I believe Charlotte Flair has done it. She doesn't win with it. It's just a move. I think there should be ladies who do the spear. I think it would be awesome. I don't think Charlotte Flair has the frame for it. Rhea Ripley would have a great time with a spear. Big E gets an honorable mention because he would spear people through the ropes and onto the concrete. So he would chuck his big frame, kind of like Rhino, through the ropes at the person and onto the ground outside, which is, again, fantastic, super dangerous, and I hope he never does it again. But if you find a clip of it, it's pretty great. Roman Reigns' spear is the current, I would say, quote-unquote, title holder. Everyone loves his spear. It's fine. It's whatever. It's serviceable, I would say. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing super great about it. But Roman Reigns as a character elicits a response that people love to see him do the spear, let's say. But the spear in itself is not the highlight. I would think his Superman punch is. And even that, I'm kind of not great on. I think he needs to get rid of the special glove. Does he still wear that? The special glove that he uses to punch people in the face. He needs to get rid of that. Or take the glove off. Have the hand that he does a Superman punch with, take the glove off of that so it feels more devastating because it's full knuckle. But his spear is whatever. The gore is the greatest version of the spear in professional wrestling, hands down. Hands down. There's no one better. Rhino does it. Rhino did the spear so well that I didn't grow up watching ECW. I saw him do the spear for the first time when he came over to WWE. When he did that, when I watched him gore someone in half, the first thing I did was boot up whatever SmackDown game I had, and I recreated Rhino just to give him the spear because I wanted to do it to other people. And then when they put Rhino in the game and he got the gore, it was an even better version of the spear. Go back and play any game with Rhino in it and watch his gore. It is, and you can even do the setup. You can go to the other side of the ring and cave them in. It's fantastic. Who do you think has the best spear in wrestling? I guarantee you're wrong and I'm right. Thank you for listening to this episode of the O Wrestling Podcast. Make sure to subscribe, hit the bell icon on YouTube so you get notifications when we go live. I haven't gone live. We're not going live yet. But whenever a new video is posted, subscribe on Spotify or any podcast platform. Thank you once again for listening. I hope you enjoyed yourself. And remember, I'm your friend.
I'm your friend, but if I ever see you in the ring, I can beat you. Don't you know? Yeah, yeah, yeah.